Hey there, it's been a while. I would talk about myself and what's been going on, but that doesn't really matter, you're not here for that, and I would like to talk about why I've really been liking Crown as Nami's mythic as of late. I want to do this both so I have a way to easily explain to solo queue teammates who question my build. Hello there, if that's you by the way. But also because while I'm by no means the inventor of Crown Nami, it's something quite a few other Nami mains have liked for a while. Quite a few other Nami mains just don't build it, and I think that building Enchanter mythics every game holds her back. I'm not particularly worried about it getting nerfed, since we've only got like 2.5 months until preseason where mythics are removed. And if it does get nerfed, then, well, who cares? It's not like I'm making it back to GM anyways. The main reasons Crown is so good are as follows. Enchanter mythics suck and mage items are overtuned. Crown allows you to safely stack Dark Seal or Magi's. When Crown passive is up, you are a lot harder to kill, and in solo queue, if you're dead, then you have no agency. So what's wrong with Enchanter mythics? It's a mix of the items as a class being weak, and also the individual items don't really suit Nami. Each Enchanter mythic broadly gives the same base stats, although Helia gives slightly more AP and a little less haste. So for 2300 gold, you get 35 AP, 20 haste, 200 health, and 100% mana regen. What you pay for versus what you get is very underwhelming. If you want to be a nerd and look at the gold efficiency of the items, you'll see you're barely breaking even for each of the Enchanter mythics, which is additionally worrying since 500 gold of that is essentially wasted on mana regen. And this may just be a personal opinion, but I think the stat is very weak. Flat mana is superior, but then if you look at the gold value of Crown, it's wildly overtuned. For 500 extra gold, you get 50 HP and 50 AP, with 50 AP alone being worth almost 1100 gold, and that's just one of the ways that mage items are considerably stronger than support items as a class. But then, if we look at the individual Enchanter mythics, starting with Moonstone, since I did make a video 2 months ago about running Moonstaff on Nami, and while I semi-stand by that build, it has 3 main problems. It is situational. Giving your team a lot of AP and haste isn't necessarily good if they can't really use it. As we've just touched on, mage items are overtuned and Enchanter mythics are undertuned. When I was trying out Moonstaff Nami, it was as an alternative to mandate into Shurelya's or Helia, since both of those suck. But now we've got a better alternative. Moonstaff Nami kind of pales in comparison. My opinion has not changed that Mandate is an underpowered item the League community heavily overrates, but I have come to accept that it is a tax that we as Nami players have to pay, otherwise we will break the mental of our teammates and they will be liable to run it down. We'll come back to this later in the build section, but I've resigned myself to building what I believe to be a suboptimal item for the sake of not tilting my team, and there is no place for Mandate in the Moonstaff build. Shurelya's passive is underwhelming because of move speed soft caps, and we should remember that the additional AP from Crown means we get a slightly stronger passive too. Both Nami passive and Shurelya's passive last for 1.5 seconds. The comparison is an extra 13-ish flat move speed that decays over the duration versus 20% constant with Shurelya's. You're slightly down in move speed with Crown, but it has no cooldown and you can apply it with Q and R, which, unless I'm mistaken, Shurelya's doesn't. The actual difference between the two is less than you'd expect due to the aforementioned soft cap on move speed. Plus, Crown gives move speed as part of its mythic passive. Also, a stacked Magi's gives permanently active move speed, which is harder to maintain if you don't have Crown. Plus, Nami passive is a flat buff, which synergizes better with other sources of movement speed gain. You don't need to cast spells on an ally to get move speed when you have Crown, so you're more slippery and able to navigate fights just a little bit better. You only ever want to buy Shirley's for the active, and that means you need a very specific set of circumstances for it to outperform Crown. Bard ult with strong follow-up is one. Here's a game where I did buy it recently and would do so again, but like I said, it is rare. And Shirley as being the correct choice purely comes down to, do you need the active? If yes, then get it. If not, then get Crown. And then finally we have Helia, and Helia is honestly a joke item, at least on Nami. Its problems are as follows. The damage goes on the nearest enemy champion, or in other words, the enemy frontline. Riot tuned the item to not deal oppressive damage against squishies, so a tank or a bruiser doesn't care at all. It does ramp up to do decent damage in the very late game, but by that point the game's probably already decided and you have no magic pen, so even against a supposedly squishy enemy, the damage will be almost halved just because of a champion's natural MR. Nami can gain stacks pretty easily, but because you need to heal or shield an ally to consume them, you have a difficult time actually making efficient use out of the item. Even if you're not getting value out of Crown's passive, the item is just significantly stronger than Enchanter mythics, but the damage reduction of Crown can be so strong. As long as you're not being stupid about your positioning, you are hard to actually take down, so assassins have a hard time preying on you. Or nuisances like Lethality Caitlyn just ulting you on repeat aren't that hard to deal with. You're able to tank important abilities for your ally without being bursted and dying, since 40% damage reduction means the enemy needs to deal 67% more damage to actually kill you. And if you're an enchanter that is able to stay alive and get multiple spell rotations off, chances are the fight is going to go in your favour. Not least because those enemy abilities aren't going to be used on your allies, and so they get space to work with in fights. And, after all, if you are considerably safer in fights, then you are able to stack a Dark Seal or Medjai's, and that's where Crown truly comes in clutch. Enemies have to commit super hard to kill you, but because of how stacks are gained and lost, you can very easily go neutral in terms of stacks in a fight. If you die, but your team cleans up and you get 5 assists, you have not lost stacks, and if the enemy team doesn't try to focus you through Crown, then you are chilling. The enemy team has to pop your Crown, then commit. Unless you were reckless with it before the fight, then that is easier said than done. All the while, your carries are not being focused. Here's the runes I recommend. They're pretty standard on Nami, and Cosmic Insight helps that little extra bit in order to shave 4 seconds off the cooldown of Crown. You go Mandate first item. As I said previously, I don't think this is that good, but it stops your team from mental booming, and they don't really care what you do as long as you have Mandate. Then it's Dark Seal and Lucidity Boots, unless you absolutely need Crown, as soon as possible, and build as the game demands from there. You have 2 additional item slots to build as necessary. Usually the options here are haste items, an orb if anti-heal is necessary, and a ward stone since it's a budget death cap. Putrefy is okay as a mid-game upgrade to orb, which is a departure from how we previously used to build with our preference for Morello. But this build is low on haste, and we already have to spend an extra 500 gold on mythic, so reaching Morello can be difficult. There's nothing special about the skill order either. Put as many points in W as necessary for laning, then max E. Oh, and also, if you're superstitious, then giving Riot money for Coven Nami and playing with it every game seems to also be a very important part of this strategy. Thanks for watching, good luck out there. The Bubble series should resume soon, but I also might make a video about the journey I went on playing 100 games of Pike to Masters and what I learned. Toodles!